Hi.
Hi.
How?
Long time no talk.
I know. Well, okay, we talk, but like,
Yeah, we do talk.
not like this.
We don't talk on our podcast.
No. This is Hot for Justice in case anyone was unfamiliar, or this is your first time, or this is your first time in, I don't know, 6 months, like everyone else's.
Whoops.
You know, it happens to the best of us. You know, we don't want to like take too much time here at the top, like going into the, you know, ins and outs of
Nitty gritty.
Right. Basically, TLDR, we both had surgeries. Jessica has a oh, do you want me to edit that out?
No, it's okay. It's fine.
You have a toddler. You know,
I do.
your husband is, you know, starting nursing school. There's a lot of work, you know, missing pieces. Jesus Christ, a lot of moving pieces here.
We're out of
It's
practice.
very clear I haven't done this in a hot minute. Even though I am doing my
Yeah.
other podcast fairly consistently, if you listen over there, Why Do You Like This, with my homeboy Jackson, we have been consistent over there. Right now we're talking about Seth Rogen movies, if you're into that sort of judge. But yeah, so we haven't recorded a podcast over here in a hot minute. We've just been busy. Shit happens. Did I say we both had surgery? Yeah, so that was a big thing. I had COVID at some point. You know, life happens. Things happen.
Yeah.
We're not going to sit here and apologize about it because, you know, there's no need to. You know, millennial women have a very bad habit of apologizing for everything, and I'm not fucking doing that anymore. So here's to just moving on and doing the damn thing.
Yeah. Well, so at the end of the day, we don't really get paid for this.
Right.
It's just a fun thing we do. I mean, sometimes we have ads, and we appreciate, you know, your all support on that, but it's a lot of work to make content and to do this regularly, and in addition to all the other responsibilities we have, sometimes it's not a priority, and that's okay. But we're coming back, and so far our idea is to do this, have at least 2 episodes a month. So that's going to be hopefully our game plan going forward.
Yeah, a bi-weekly moment. You know, we'll figure out which day of the week this is going to start going out on consistently, whether that's Monday or Wednesday. You know, you'll find out when you listen to this, I suppose. That'll be the day that we've chosen.
Yeah.
And our, you know, format that we're kind of going with for the time being, you know, this can ebb and flow, but right now we're going to be doing like one, like, you know, I would say, you know, real episode a month, quote unquote, where we do a case deep dive, and then another episode. The other episode every month will be the screen recap of, you know, whatever thing that we are talking about that month.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the other thing that I just want to really reiterate is that when we're doing these cases, we're ideally covering cold cases, things that haven't been resolved, and we're doing that, like, you know, to bring awareness. Granted, we have a pretty good following of people, and so just to kind of reiterate that, like, that's the point. Yeah. So
like, we want to
it's really
just kind of spread advocacy for these folks that, you know, their story hasn't really been told. You know, maybe we find these things on Reddit or like a small article that turns us, you know, into looking at 8 different articles or whatever. But, you know, a lot of these things don't have a lot of information in one place. So we're trying to, you know, make that happen. And
it can be hard, though.
Absolutely.
It can be really hard. I mean, really, at the end of the day, what we have for sources are a lot of news articles and things like that. But, you know, for, like, marginalized people, a lot of times there's nothing out there. I mean, but you think of, like, the dichotomy between somebody like, you know, the Gabby Petito case over the summer where it just hugely blew up. And then there's other cases that don't get that same... I mean, there were a lot of other people who went missing at the same time as her, and I'm not saying that she didn't deserve news coverage, because thankfully, because of that, they were able to figure out what happened to her.
Exactly.
But there were a lot of other people who went missing at the same time that or were murdered, that nothing. So, you know, just remembering that, I think that's something that kind of like, I don't want... There's a lot of new things out about, like, women and podcasting and, you know, the entertainment factor of true crime, which, sure, right, we listen to this, like, while we're doing things to be, you know, not bored in the car or whatever, but, like, at the end of the day, I really want to get the point across of being respectful and, like, advocating for the victims.
Exactly. Like we're not over here trying to be like exploitative. We want to make that like very fucking clear. And you know, to your point, like I've definitely seen a lot of, you know, like articles and like people speaking out about like the true crime community and like keyboard warriors and like fucking what do you want to call it? Like armchair detectives, like stuff like that, and like how, you know, toxic that, you know, can be, and that's not the space that we're trying to be in. So if you ever find that we are, or if anything is, you know,
doesn't say
definitely like send us a message, like let us know, like we would love to know. You know, we love to have an open conversation about it and, you know, correct ourselves in those situations. You know, I'm also not going to sit here and say like that hasn't been part of the reason like we haven't recorded, you know, like
I mean, it's a big struggle for me, honestly.
Same.
And I like think of it after having a child. It just like really pivoted for me, because you think like these people are moms, or they're somebody's child too, or somebody's sibling, and lately I've had friends who, you know, have had friends been victim of violent crime, and the devastation that it leaves, I can see it, you know, I can see it firsthand.
Absolutely.
It's terrible. And so, yeah, I just wanted to, it's something I've been struggling with too. I mean, while we've taken this break, that's constantly been in my mind. So I did want to, I feel bad. I feel glad that we addressed that.
Me too. And I do think it's an important thing to like kind of stress, especially in, you know, kind of today's climates. You know, there's just a lot going on, you know, really in every aspect of everything. And you know, we want to try to be as respectful as possible in every regard. Like, yeah, like we might like be a little giggly sometimes or whatever, but like that's not a reflection of how, you know, we feel about these instances, these tragedies, all these things. You know, and we have gotten feedback from, you know, folks' families that we have covered saying like, thank you for spreading awareness. And so this is why we do what we do. You know, again, like to your point earlier, like this isn't something that we're like consistently making really any money on. You know, any money that we actually have made, we've donated.
Yeah. And I mean, I did use the term like we do for fun. And of course, like it's not.
No, I would say it's more of like a hobby. Like a for fun thing is probably just a slide of the mouth type of thing, but you know.
Yes. It's a hobby.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And again, it's really all in, you know, in a positive light. It's not trying to be anything else. So we just want to kind of make that very clear. If you were confused in any way, or if you're just stumbling upon us for the first time.
Yeah. I mean, and it's funny because we've had no feedback like that.
Right.
At least I haven't. But it's just really something that was kind of heavy on my mind. So
yeah, me too. I've heard that criticism of like other, you know, popular podcasts. Definitely more popular than we could probably ever be.
Right.
But you know, so it is something that like is, you know, been in my mind for the last several months, especially again, it really came out around the time of the Gabby Petito thing, like really blowing up. There was a lot of criticism in the true crime community and a lot of backlash.
Yeah. Well, and then like they coined the term, you know, white woman syndrome or missing white woman syndrome. And I mean, those are kind of like points that we've touched before because we've done series covering specifically, you know, BIPOC. So, and generally I'm doing my best I can, the best we can to be respectful, polite, inclusive, and, you know, consider everybody.
Yeah. And to that point, you know, we can kind of jump right into, you know, this week's episode. Kind of in that same vein, like we do still try to like, you know, predominantly cover, you know, marginalized communities, including, so like my case today, so mine does come from Reddit user main_initiative. This is the unexplained death of Charlene Rosemond. So she went to purchase a car. It was found murdered 6 days later, more than 10 years later, and Charlene's family is still searching for answers.
Oh, that's awful.
Oh my God. This is so sad. So Charlene Rosemond went to purchase a car, was found murdered 6 days later. Her family is still searching for answers. I literally just said that. Good job, Jamie. So Charlene was a fun and active 23-year-old who lived in Everett, Massachusetts with her family. She worked for a Toyota dealership for nearly 2 years before her death and was known for her dedication to her job. She took an interest in cosmetology and was looking forward to being an aunt soon. The day she went missing, she had last spoken with her family on the morning of April 6th of 2009. She was borrowing her father's car since she was having car troubles herself and was hoping to purchase a new one. Charlene and her mother had discussed returning the car home later that night as her father needed it in the evening. She obliged as she had recently saved up about $4,000 to purchase a Lexus from a friend who had said that they could help her get a car at a discounted rate. Honestly, perks of like working at a car dealership and like all of that, like you like know all the people at like the surrounding dealerships and shit, and like you can for sure get like a real good deal on a car. So, pro tip.
Yeah.
Like
except for right now.
Oh my god, yo, it's insane right now. One of my buddies owns a Tesla, and it's like I want to say it's like almost 5 years old now, and it's like one of the like more like reasonable priced models. He threw it up on Carvana just to like see what he would get. He's like, I'm not trying to sell it, but he was like, I'm just curious to see like what the value on it is. They offered him almost $15,000 more than it's worth. Yeah.
Yeah. Right now is, it's wild. We recently bought and sold a car, sold and bought a car, I should say.
Right. You didn't sell the new car.
Yeah. We, the car we ended up selling, we got almost as much as we paid for it.
That's insane.
And that was 10 years ago. Yeah, it's the market right now is insane. But also, pro tip, if you're a Costco member, sometimes car dealerships will give you some discounts off of like some models. A lot of car dealerships are trying to be snaky and be like, we don't honor that anymore. But my car dealership worked with us, and we got because right now they're all putting they're putting a dealer markup on all of cars because there's a supply chain shortage, and so like for example, cars will be marked up $7,000 to $10,000 just in a dealer fee. Well, Costco, that fee will be cut off, so you can save that money there. But yeah, like I said, a lot of dealerships are trying to be like snaky, and they're like, oh no, we won't honor that.
They want their monies, honeys.
But yeah, it's a good thing to know. One of the sales guys actually let it slip to me. He was like, oh, I wasn't supposed to tell you that. And I was like, thank you, bro.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yep.
How?
Thank you so much.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, I had never heard of that. So yeah, apparently if you're shopping for a new car, flash that Costco membership card.
Yeah, definitely.
Or have a friend on the inside, or both.
Yes, there you go. Not to get too far off the subject, but just a pro tip if you're looking for a car right now in this day.
No, it's nuts. Like you were saying, like used cars are selling for just as much, if not more, than the new ones. Like it's crazy town.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, we were intentionally going to buy a used car until we realized it costs the same amount to buy a new one. We were kind of like, well,
then you're all like warrantied up and all that shit, so might as well.
Right, exactly. So yes, exactly that. So yeah. Anyways, I digress.
Yes. So she's gonna get this good deal on a Lexus. So she had plans to look at the car. She had the cash on hand. She told her mom that she'd be home that night after looking at the Lexus, right? So, however, that evening, Charlene never came home. The next morning, her parents asked Charlene's sister, Rosalie, if she had spoken to Charlene since she didn't come home. And it was also very out of character for her not to return the car to her parents like she had promised, which was a reason for concern. Like, even if she didn't, like, stay at home, like, she didn't drop the car off.
Right.
Which was weird.
Red flag.
Oh, red fucking flag. So basically they reached out to her friends and her sister. Like, nobody could figure out where she was. The sister had called like all of her friends. She got like Charlene's voicemail, like when she tried calling her. Again, all very much out of character. But they knew that she was supposed to be at work at 7, but she never showed up.
Okay.
So by 11 o'clock, so a few hours after they realized that she was nowhere to be found, Rosalie and the father decided to go to the Somerville police station to report her missing. At first, they dismissed the urgency of the disappearance, saying that, like, oh, it hasn't been 48 hours yet. Like, she'll turn up. Like, you know how they do.
I hate that. Yeah.
And
I get it, but I don't get it.
Right.
You know? Like there's other factors you have to take into consideration when making that determination.
No, 100%. And, like, I'm sorry, have these people never heard of the first 48? Like, have they not watched television?
Right. There's literally a show about it.
No, yeah, like if you're unfamiliar or have never heard that term, so for the First 48 is a show that I don't remember which network it was on or if it's still on.
It's on A&E. It is still on, yeah. It's they canceled they had it was basically like a new version of Cops.
Mm-hmm.
It was called Live PD. They canceled that.
Oh yeah, I know
after all of like the
police shootings
issues.
and stuff last year.
Yeah, the officer involved shootings. After, George Floyd, they canceled that, which, I mean, kind of good.
Yeah.
And
that shit was many as fuck. Like, I don't know if you...
It was really long.
I never watched Live
Yeah, I
PD,
watched
but
it.
As a kid, I watched, like, a smattering of Cops here and there. And, like, especially, like, I was definitely too young to be fucking watching that. Because that shit was nuts. Like...
Yeah, it is. Well, Live PD was... We've watched it a little bit, but... yeah, I mean, I was, like, curious because I was like, well, what happens if... I mean, this is live.
Yeah.
What happens if something
goes
happens?
sideways. Yeah.
And there have been episodes
there's been a
where
couple
that
of
has...
times, right?
Someone was shot and killed. Yeah, I don't remember exactly the circumstances, but yeah, so... but anyways, A&E has the First 48 still.
Yeah, so it's a show that documents, like disappearances or murder cases in the first 48 hours. Because usually, if you're gonna have like any breakthroughs or like any like major evidence, it's gonna pop up in the first 48 hours. Or if they're missing person, they're most likely to be recovered in the first 2 days. So it follows the detectives and all of that and like what they're doing and like
It's pretty interesting.
It's very interesting.
If you're interested in like that type of thing.
I watched quite a bit of that growing
I
up.
personally, yeah, I still watch it sometimes. Sometimes it gets really sad, so I just can't. But yeah.
But so yeah, that's the thing with like missing persons cases. Like I agree. Like it's kind of like like if they took every single missing persons report that came in after 2 hours, like they would be inundated with requests. Like I get that part. And there's no way they could follow up on everything. But at the same time, like in some cases like
there's
this,
certain circumstances
where
you're right that something's wrong,
and they're like, sorry about it.
Right.
And then in this case too, we're also talking about a black woman. So like if it was a white woman, would they have cared more? I don't know. Like who's to say?
Well, where was this again? Oh, you said
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts. Oh, I don't know why I thought that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So especially in the Pac Northwest, I feel like that especially. I can't speak to the East Coast as much just out of honestly ignorance, but it's hard to say. What it would have looked like.
I think that's a trend you see anywhere, really.
Yeah, I think it's just it is kind of just general overt racism and all of that. But so they basically told her like they had to wait 48 hours before they would let them file a report. So this didn't sit well with the sister, justifiably so, who was 8 months pregnant, decided to start just driving around to everywhere her sister would frequent. She spoke to 2 different friends of Charlene who, according to her, both seemed to have very little interest in the disappearance at all. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, so I'm not saying that's not sus. So then the next day when they could, then they filed the missing persons report. Okay. And so that was on April the 8th. So on April 13th, 6 days after she went missing, Rosalie got a call from a friend telling her to speak to the Somerville Police Department. At the same time, a relative of Rosalie's father called and spoke to Rosalie's brother-in-law. I'm mathing.
Yeah.
When the call ended, the brother-in-law had to inform the family that the police had found Charlene's body. She was found in her father's 2001 gray Honda Civic in an alley near the Midnight convenience store with a bullet wound to the head.
Oh my god.
Yeah. We'll have the posts and the articles linked in the show notes and stuff. I don't think there's any photos of like the gruesomeness.
Yeah, I hope not.
But law enforcement believe that two assailants were involved. One who entered on the passenger seat and the shooter who was in the back seat of the car. Charlene's family believed.
Did they take her money?
The money was never recovered from the scene, and that's the supposed
motive. Do you think they set her up like there was actually no car?
It's hard to say. I'm sure that's definitely like some sort of theory. But based on what I could surmise, the people that seemed disinterested were not the same friend that like had the car.
Okay.
Nor do I know if it was related at all. It's, you know, kind of a little bit hard to tell.
Right. That's a good point.
But
she could have gotten sidetracked or met somebody else or something.
right.
Yeah.
You know, she was maybe at the dealership and like maybe decided like she didn't want the car. Maybe she stopped at the convenience store and then they bum rushed her. I don't know. There's a lot of moving pieces here.
Ways that could have gone. Yeah.
In 2019, a suspect was arrested under 2 counts of perjury in relation to Charlene's case for providing false information. This individual was arraigned on $100,000 bail. However, there's been no further movement in the case, and now it's been over 11 years since she was killed, and everyone is still actively seeking justice for Charlene.
Yeah. That's awful.
Yeah. Again, we'll have...
Over $4,000? Are you kidding?
Yeah. 100% Like, I understand, like, you know, obviously, like, you know, times are tough, like, shit happens, but, like, there's you don't kill someone over $4,000.
You don't kill... No.
I mean, don't kill people, period.
You shouldn't kill somebody at all. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's...
But, like, I mean, if you're in it for the money, like, at least, like...
Just take the money and go. Like, that's all. Just
like, there's no need for that. It just, you know, be a robber, not a murderer.
Right, unless it was somebody she knew.
Right. So, you know, or she saw too much, or... I mean, again, we're not justifying, we're just speculating.
Yes, speculating. Never a justification for murder, really. Yeah. Okay, well...
But again, we'll have everything linked down there, and also, like, you know, places to contact and what have you. If you so happen to be in the Massachusetts area, the Everett, Massachusetts area specifically, or know anyone that could have been, who knows?
Yeah, talk to your peeps.
Yeah.
Well, my case is really recent. Really recent. I think, well, I texted you about this yesterday.
You did.
Because this happened within the last week, and so I wanted to...
It's actionable.
Bring, the attention there. So, in Rancho Cordova, which is kind of a suburb of Sacramento, I would say. Last Tuesday, it looks... Oh, no, maybe it was first. No, so she was reported missing last Thursday. 20-year-old Emma Rourke, which... I actually saw on my Murderinos Facebook group page, so specifically for the Sacramento area. So they were just kind of bringing attention. Emma, on the report I saw, is autistic, and so they were, you know, hoping that she just got lost or I don't know, something, and they could bring her home, right, fairly quickly. So she was reported missing last Thursday, last seen near Coloma Road and McGregor Drive in Rancho Cordova. They led a 4-day search involving sheriff's deputies, park rangers, helicopters, drones, dogs. There's the American River, which we actually went on a float trip on in September.
We did. We need to plan this year also. Now that I'm thinking about it.
We decided to make it an annual trip.
Hopefully this time it's not 8 hours.
If you're from California, you also know that we're in a drought, and so we really did not account for the lack of water in the river.
We did not.
When we went. And it was supposed to be a 2-hour float, took us 6, 7, 8 hours.
Yeah.
It was a really long day.
Yeah, we ran out of booze in the first hour and a half.
Water.
That was a sad time. Honestly, we probably could have made it.
We had to walk.
Yeah.
We had to walk the river. We literally were not even in our tubes. We had to walk.
No, and then
walk swim.
Zach and I's tube was taking on water actively.
It was.
Sprung a hole.
They had a hole.
Yeah, so that was really cool.
Lessons learned, though.
Yeah, bring snackies, extra water, an oar.
Yeah, that would be great too. Although. Yeah, so listen, you have to consume alcohol wisely.
We did not.
Because you can get a DUI. If you have an oar in a rafting, you can get a DUI.
Well, okay. Is it a DUI or is it like a...
It might be something else.
Like paddling under the influence?
Right. There might be like another term that they use.
Floating under the influence, an FUI?
Yeah. Well, I know because we went night river rafting one time. And some of the people had been drinking like that entire day, and so they wouldn't take paddles out because you can get, you know, whatever, cited for that. I hadn't been drinking, so I was like, well, I could use a paddle. But
I know you can get one like on a bike, but like I didn't know you could get one on a floaty.
Yeah.
Dude, could you? How pissed would
Well,
you
I mean,
be if
it's
you were
pretty
just
dangerous.
floating, bopping along, and then?
Yeah. Well, you think in a river though, like a river rafting situation, it can go downhill pretty quickly.
Well, right, and like, you know,
that's where the responsible part comes in.
right. But you think if you had a paddle, like that was, you know, you're using it to be good. I don't know. Maybe I'm
Yeah,
stupid or ignorant, but
maybe we should Google this.
maybe we should. We'll talk.
We're spreading false information. I'll update you next week.
Please do.
Or in 2 weeks, whatever. Okay, anyway, so 20-year-old Emma Rourke went missing on Thursday, so they launched a huge search. And then they found a woman's body in a secluded rural area at the river axis on El Monto Drive. I'm also getting this information from a Sacramento Bee article written by Michael McGow. It was written on February 2nd, so just 3 days ago.
This is the current.
Yes. So the access point where she was found was only a mile away from where she had been last seen. The news has said that that's her, but the victim has not been formally identified. I think that they're associating because the police department said the body found matches her description. I believe she's got blue hair, so it's kind of, you know, that's very identifying.
I was going to say, you know, that does stick out.
Yeah. Authorities determined that she had been a victim of a homicide, that they haven't released any other information, so there's no, you know, cause of death or anything else released. So detectives are asking anyone with information to contact the Rancho Cordova Police Department or the Sheriff's Department. We'll include phone numbers in the episode link. And then I had actually come across a Reddit post last night kind of linking this case to a series of other cases apparently that are similar, and I also texted you about this last night. So in relation to what I'm assuming is this person being found murdered, the police department have also been going around to, I'm assuming, local businesses to gather information and footage and whatnot from security cameras. So I really don't know the accuracy of this post, so I will like really preface that with this is completely hearsay. And also I don't know how likely it is that the police department would like disclose this to somebody that they're just asking for information from. But apparently this Reddit poster said that her friend had been interviewed because they own a local business in the area, and the police were saying that they are like looking at a potential serial murder in the area.
So I've heard a couple of rumblings about that too, and that's kind of we were talking about this like before the podcast a little bit last night, and so yeah, there's been I think maybe potentially 5 young women's bodies that have been found in the last couple of months in the like greater Sacramento area.
Yeah, so not even necessarily just Sacramento. I think it said like Napa area. There was one like it kind of extends down the 101.
Yeah, and then I think one even as far up as like Mendocino or like that kind of area.
Yeah, I can actually pull it up again.
Yeah, go ahead and pull it up.
But you continue.
And I had seen an Instagram post yesterday. We're recording this as of the 5th. I saw an Instagram post yesterday that I couldn't find again this morning, but also like, you know, that's how it goes on Instagram. If you don't save it, it's lost forever. Basically, and saying that like one of the women's bodies that turned up. So for a brief background, these like 4 or 5 women were all around the same age group. You know, like I think all under 40. You know, kind of like mid-20s. I think this what was her name? Emma.
She was 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was the youngest, I believe. So that's why I think it's a little bit out of the MO for the other ones. The other ones were like late 20s, mid 30s. One of them, reportedly, the family is saying, like, we're pretty sure it's a suicide, so, like, don't lump it in for this, like, potential serial killer, quote-unquote, because they're just, like, we're pretty sure. I think they're still waiting for the formal, like, autopsy to be, like, finished or whatever, because it's, you know, now it's considered a criminal case, or potentially.
Yeah. I mean, it's good they're doing the due diligence, but also, like, you don't ever bother a victim's family.
No, and like I said, like I don't know, and based on like what I could see, it kind of does seem like the media is a little bit drawing at straws here, or grabbing at straws, for like saying like, oh, this might be a serial killer, or what have you. It's hard to say.
Well, yeah, because it gets clickbait, but it hasn't been really picked up by any major news outlets.
No, I've been seeing it mostly like on Reddit and like just like true crime pages I follow and stuff like that. That like they're saying that it could be, but.
Yeah, so it said that these discoveries started in Mendocino, moved to Wilkins, which I'm not really sure where that is, Napa, and now Rancho.
Yeah. I'm looking it up.
So, regardless of if this is true or not, right, it's always a really good reminder to just be super aware of your surroundings, let people know where you are, you know, share your location with somebody, you know, just of course, men need to be careful too, but as a woman, you know, we're more likely to be attacked or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just kind of one of those things, like, as a woman, you know, you have to be really careful.
Yeah, as fucked up as it is, like, you know, we are targeted more often than our male counterparts.
Just be careful. You know, lock your car doors, lock your house doors.
Right.
So if you have any information about Emma Rourke and her disappearance, potentially her murder, if this is indeed her, please reach out to either the Rancho Cordova Police Department or the Sacramento Sheriff's Office. The phone number is 916-362-5115. And you can also leave it tips anonymously online. So if you don't want to be identified.
Yeah, and I think most police departments and stuff like that have some way to do stuff like that anyway. So if you're skeezed out or anything like that, they're, you know, look into doing like anonymous tipping.
Yeah. So also, I guess this. Do you listen to Jensen and
very infrequently? Jensen and
Holes. Yeah.
I haven't been listening to a ton of podcasts lately just because work's been nutso. But yeah. Go on.
They recently covered a case about a woman who was walking her pit bull in the Georgia area. It's honestly so sad. This hit me really hard, probably because I also have a pit bull.
I was gonna say, this could have been
and
you.
Like, you think you're gonna be right. You think you're gonna be safe because you have a big scary dog,
right?
And she went to walk her dog at night, and her I'm not sure if they're just girlfriend, it's just her girlfriend, or if it's her wife. I'm not really sure. But she never came home, and so obviously her partner became really worried and went to go look for her and found them both really brutally murdered. And like, it was honestly a really difficult episode to listen to for me. Like, it made me cry because, you know, the dog, I'm sure, tried to protect her, and just two, it's just so devastating. Well, there were some words carved into her, and Paul Holes had, you know, kind of said that there's some similarities to a case he had worked in our area.
Oh shit.
So, you know, and he's kind of a consultant now, so he,
right.
you know, like, kind of passes along information, but I don't know why, but it kind of made me think of, like, this situation too, you know?
Yeah.
Not saying they're related, but it just kind of, I don't know, it kind of
draws your memory, or
like,
not, you know what I mean? Like, you can draw similarities and also, like, you know, consistencies.
Realize they might, yeah. So I just thought that was kind of, I don't know, it's just terrible. I thought it was interesting that he kind of said that too, because he obviously keeps things close to the vest. He's a consultant, so he doesn't, like, now, you know, he and they do actual investigating from their podcast and, like, help. They're, like, legitimately, you know, helping put away people.
Oh, not what we do?
And bringing... I mean, listen, they have, like, probably 10 times the reach that we do.
And probably, like, a real budget.
Honestly. Yeah, and he's an ex-investigator. We're not.
No, we do not have that skill set at all. We do our best.
So, we do our best.
That's all we can do.
Yeah. So, anyways, I thought that was that case is unsolved. So, if also, you know, go listen to that episode. I think it's an update episode. It was like a couple weeks ago. Because if you're in the Atlanta, Georgia area and you know anything about that, like that's, it was really violent and really gruesome, and the person who did that really deserves to be in jail for the rest of their life.
Oh, fucking yay.
So yeah, that any like tips would be helpful there. And speaking of potholes, now I guess we're going to the dicking off section.
Let's dick off.
He has a new book coming out, and Jamie and I are gonna go in person and listen to like his little book
little spiel on the book.
Yeah.
And I believe we get signed copies of the book, which is be fun.
We did. I'm actually so excited.
No, when you text me that, I almost shit myself. Like, full send. I was like, yes, I don't even care how much it is. Sign me the fucker up.
Right? It was actually super affordable, like, for the book, signed copy of the book. Did you order yours, by the way? Like, your book?
I forgot. I'm gonna write myself a note. Book.
Well, the book comes with a ticket for the event,
Yes.
and he's speaking, about his book and about, I don't know. They're going to interview him, basically. So
I think the reason I didn't is
be...
because it was like, oh, you can also get a copy for him to sign there.
You can,
So
yeah.
I was like, oh,
I don't know how
I
much
might as well
more
just
it
like
is.
wait and just do it then. But it might be cheaper if I pre-order it.
It probably
So
is cheaper.
I'll-
I think it would save you like $10.
I will
or
do that
something.
then.
But yeah,
I'm-
so we're gonna go do that. I'm pretty excited. Definitely nerd stuff, but he's such a smart. I love listening to his podcast because the way he like breaks things down, he's so analytical.
He's intelligent as fuck.
And yeah, I mean, it's just it's so interesting. So I'm very excited to go, like listen to his book thing.
Me too. I have a fun little dick off shout out actually.
Oh, okay.
So we were up in Zach's hometown in December for a service, and
I'm sorry.
thank you. And actually, the service is related to this person I'm about to bring up, their father. So I apologize again for your loss. But so you know our homie Jordan. So his stepfather passed this last year. And he comes up and introduces his stepbrother to me. He's I want to say like about 16 years old. So hey Jeremy. And he was like, oh yeah, like I'm a huge fan of like My Favorite Murder and like all of those, and I found your podcast like on Apple Podcasts, like after like as like a recommended show. After listening to a different true crime show, I might have been MFM, but I'm not super certain. And then because he didn't even realize that he like was adjacent to us.
Oh, right. Like he knew people who knew us.
And then he saw Jordan like share like on Facebook like an episode or something, and he was like, holy shit, like that's Zach's wife. Because like Zach like was there when he was born basically. Like
yeah.
and then like he was like,
Oh, you had to do a little fame moment.
yeah, and so that was really fun. So we got to chit chat and stuff. But yeah, he was basically saying that he was like, yeah, like you were talking about like you cover a lot of California cases, like your co-host that mentioned that she's like up in in Northern California, and that she's like kind of from like this area, like originally like like where he's from. I don't want to like completely like dox this kid, but
Yeah, thank you. It's a small place.
no, 100%. But he was just like, yeah, like I found you guys like super like randomly, and then like I heard you mention that your husband's name was Zach, and then like I put 2 and 2 together, and then saw Jordan's post, and then was like, holy shit. Like I'm like,
cool.
what, 2 degrees of separation from like this podcast host.
Right. Well, hello, Jeremy. Thanks for listening.
I know. So that was really fun.
That's awesome. Love that.
And I'm trying to
I
like,
haven't had any of those moments.
this was my first, so
Yeah. That's okay, though.
I'm not gonna like lie and say I
Yeah.
didn't feel like pretty cool for 5 minutes. And then I remembered
Right.
that I'm in
I was
fact
pretty-
not cool at all.
Me either. Although I did get to do something really cool last weekend.
What'd you do?
I was in
I
Las
was like,
Vegas.
I know. I
with
just
some
wanted you to say
friends.
it.
I know. That was so cool. Well, we, as women do, you get in touch with a club promoter when you're in Vegas, because then you can get into clubs for free and you get free drinks and blah, blah,
Right.
blah. Well, our club promoter on our third night hooked us up, got us in to see Little John, who was DJing at this nightclub for free.
Oh, that's dope.
And we got to go in, like, on the VIP balcony, so we were literally hanging up with all of the light directors.
Oh, that's rad.
The whole night. So, like, instead of being in the mosh pit, which was, I'm sure, COVID central.
Oh, for sure.
We got to be up on a balcony, like, completely just by ourselves. The bouncer was kicking out anybody who came over to us because we had, like, some guys be like, oh, come to our table. And we were like, no.
I was like, based on, like, the snaps and stuff I saw, it seemed very, intimate's not the word I want to use. Like not...
It kind of
like,
was,
like, not
though.
crowded,
Like,
not crazy, like...
No, it was just the 5 of us and the 3 light guys, and they, like, let us come talk to them and, like, watch what they were doing. It was so sick. And then they had their own feed of Little John up at the DJ booth, so we got to kind of see him up close, like, what he was doing. It was so sick.
That's rad. I love that.
Yeah, we had my 8th grade heart was very happy. He's, like, such a good DJ. I thought he was, like, performing, but he was DJing.
That's hella cool.
And of course he did, like, his own music too, so it was great. 10 out of 10 experience.
I
love it.
That.
I mean, we were not drinking either. We were all just vibing and dancing and, like, having such a good time. It was awesome. But yeah, so that was fun. Also, I watched on Netflix The Woman in the
window across the street,
woman in the
or something.
Yeah, the woman in the house across the street from the girl in the window.
Yeah, so it's all of those words in some order. It's the
Kristen Bell.
It's Kristen Bell with a wine glass is the, like, picture.
I will watch anything with her in it. Okay, love her.
Oh, yeah.
It's a parody of all of these other murder mysteries. It's so funny. The first episode was slow, and then I was like, oh, this is a joke, because there's no way.
Yeah, one of my coworkers watched it, and she was like, oh, like, I think you dig it. She was like, I didn't realize it was a parody at first. Like, I thought it was just, like, a documentary.
I didn't either.
Or whatever.
And I was like, this is so dumb. And then I'm like, oh, I get it.
No, it's literally the exact same trajectory that she went through. She was like, I was like, I'm not sure if this is, like, serious, or, like, if this is supposed to be, like, just, like, a whatever. And then she was like, oh, fuck. Like,
yeah. So, yeah, definitely. I enjoyed watching it, honestly. So I would recommend it.
I haven't seen it yet, but it's on my, like, to-do list of things to watch. So I'm very excited.
Yeah. Well, and then our next episode, so this will probably be out, in like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Our next episode, we're going to recap the Tinder Swindler.
Yeah, that's on Netflix. I've heard a lot of fun things about it. I don't want to get too much into, like, what it is right now.
Yeah, well, we'll cover it next episode.
Yeah, but I'm excited.
I have to go get ready for a barbecue, so...
Yes, and I have to go shopping, because I haven't put on real pants, really, in months, and I'm ready to go buy pants to fit. That don't have an elastic waistband.
Oh, yes, ma'am. I'm excited. Please send me updates on what you buy.
I will. I'll send you some fitting room pics.
All right, and just to reiterate, if y'all have any, they are open. If y'all have any information about either of these 2 cases, we'll link phone numbers and confidential tip lines. Especially this one in Rancho Cordova. It's very recent.
Very.
You may know something, and it's really important. So definitely, please don't withhold any information. And yeah, thanks.
We'll catch you in a couple weeks. Good.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.